Hey, welcome back, everybody. Got three new engines to show you. Just finished the middle one there tonight, and keen to show you guys my latest three locomotives here. Got a couple Athearn Genesis and an Atlas conversion to show you. So stay tuned. I'm going to break it into three parts and give you a brief overview of what I did to each engine. Thank you. Hey, good evening, everybody. I've been busy. I picked this up in the States. I can't remember the name of the shop, but I got it for a really good deal and shipped it directly here, and wasn't expecting to buy it, but I couldn't pass it up. So I got it as DCC ready. I put my own Locksound 5 decoder in it. It had a 21 pin interface, so I just plugged it in. No speaker, so I actually put in one of my own. I pulled a speaker out of my MP15, my Atlas, and I actually built a box for it. Sounds better than it does without the box, but it's definitely not scale sound system quality. Maybe I'll give it another go and see if I can make it sound a bit deeper. Yeah, so I first drove one of these things when I went to visit the Silver Creek sub last spring or early last summer, and yeah, that was a pretty cool addition to their layout. And I'll have one. I figured I'd have one passenger train, and I recently got rid of all my Go Transit stuff. I have personal experience on Go Transit, and I don't want it on my layout just because of that. I don't have any experience with VIA, so I figured that was a safe bet to kind of have that on my layout. So I am looking for some coaches. They're really hard to find right now. I'm looking for the LRC ones, and I know that Rapido's got some Bud coming out. So I may have to get the Bud ones instead, but we'll see. I'm just going to bide my time here. So far, this thing's going to pull itself around the layout. Really nice model from Athearn Genesis. It's super, super heavy. On the install side of things, I did find one loose wire that was stripped but not connected in the back. It's the red lights here. So there's twin red lights on either side of the rear headlight. So I hooked that up to function 6 on the motherboard, and had to do a little bit of poking around with the decoder settings and everything, and got that working now. So one thing I did do was swap the function 5, I believe, which is the emergency light. It flashes the number board. Yeah, there's a bit of weirdness on the headlight, the xenon light, and the number board. Whether they were all in one or separated, I couldn't really tell. But the number board wasn't very bright, so I ended up turning the emergency light into just the number board. So my 2 red lights on the front come on when this thing's going in reverse, and the 2 red lights in the back come on when it's going forward. And I got my ditch lights and my xenon and my headlight working as well. So pretty good lighting package. There are no ground lights as far as I could tell. I didn't see any, and I didn't see any wires, and nothing's working so far. But yeah, so I just spent a couple days weathering this one up. Hardest thing on this one to do was the roof, believe it or not. Let me see if I can grab this thing here. Show you the roof. So not too many roof shots of these guys, and the ones that I did get were basically cell phone photos. So they're really hard to tell. Well, the last thing I have to do on the roof of this is get some flat clear to put on. I ended up using the microscale gloss coat to make the decals stick. And now I've got this mark on the roof that I don't like. So I'll get some gloss clear. I think it's XF86, and then spray that on there. That should cut the shine away. But ended up doing the roof twice. One interesting bit, I was using my Pabio pens through my airbrush for the first time. They worked okay, but they dried up very quickly. I only mixed them with water, so you got to spray fast. But they do go on very transparent, and they're quite nice as a kind of like doing a paint fade. I think they'd be really nice for that, and they stick well enough. So yeah, I'm going to try them again. This one, I just wanted to get a darker tone on the roof. I think the stock color was a bit too bright. Then I worked onto the underside, and I did all the airbrushing there, painted some details on the trucks. Interesting thing about 911 is I think it actually got in a bit of a dinger. If you look down here, you guys can look up profile or prototype photos, but I think it must have bashed something and get all this rust streaking coming down. For those of you who don't know, this VIA thing here is a wrap. The engine is actually blue underneath. So for it to rust through the wrap, there must have been some pre-existing kind of damage to the front there. Anyway, one thing that I'll let you guys on. I feel pretty stupid for this one, but all these years looking at these stupid things, I had no idea that the yellow actually spells VIA. And I was looking at this thing when I was painting it, figuring out what I was going to do. It dawned on me after about 2 days staring at this thing. I'm like, oh my God, it actually says VIA. And it even says it on the other side too, but it says it in reverse. So yeah, I feel a bit stupid for that one, but I just thought they were like yellow stripes. Anyway, you know, I guess I digress on that subject. I'll call it for what it is. I had no idea. So other things I did to the roof here, the only details I added were a plate on the roof here. It looks like there must have been a Sinclair antenna there, and they've basically plugged the hole with a plate and 6 bolts and some kind of black tar. And then all the decals weren't on the roof either. So these were all kind of added most likely recently because they do get covered up with soot. These things seem to be burning real black with the soot. The roofs of these things are pretty much black. I think they do wipe the sides when they go through they must go through a wash to clean up the sides. And I think that does scrub a bit of the roof, but most of the roof is still pretty black. Anyway, nice model, very heavy, good puller. Sound file. There's only one P42 charger sound file on the ESU website for Lock Sound 5. And one thing I did notice is that the prime mover seems to get stuck in notch 3, notch 2, something like super low. And, when it starts out, it's fine, but it's it's bombing along the track and it looks like the engine's pretty much in idle the whole time. So I may have to get into that file and try and alter that. I talked to Wade, see if he's ever done anything like that. He says use very slow increments or very minor changes to see if when you do make changes, don't make them big, just do little ones. So I'll have to see if I can get in the sound file. I've played around with bells once before, but I've never played with the prime mover. I do know they're in pieces too. So, if I start messing around with the notch 7, notch 8 pieces, maybe I can just move those and leave the other ones alone. Anyway, this one's going on my layout. This one's for me. And hopefully I can find some coaches for it. But I do have another video of techniques that I used to paint this up, and I'll get to that eventually. But yeah, I just wanted to show this one off. It's my newest engine. Kind of chuffed that I got it done in I think I had this thing for 3 days and got it all done. So that's good. It's ready to go on the layout now. This is my favorite side. I'll show you the other side actually. And there's the back. Here's the other side. So this is the English side. I like the French side better. It's more interesting. And there it is. Just do it once around. Okay, and that's it for that one. So, okay, next up is an Athearn Genesis SD60M Triclops number 6258 for the Canadian Pacific here. This one is called Fury. So the reason why he's called Fury is there's a little bit of graffiti on the front there. Somebody got a little creative. I don't know if it was a CP employee, but I thought it was kind of funny. So yeah, this guy's name is Fury. Challenge with this one, originally when I got it, of course it had the issue with the trucks and the wheels. I had to put some sleeves in there to adjust it. No problems with Athearn supplying that, and the fix was actually quite simple. So this thing's been running, I've had it for 2 years now, and I just finally got around to finishing the weathering and the painting on it. So yeah, love this engine, super good puller, nice and heavy. And aside from that, an original issue with the trucks, this thing is flawless. So the lighting's good. It's got lit number boards. I don't think it has ground lights, but it has every other light. So that's pretty cool for Athearn anyway. I do a little bit more on my own, but and I might actually add ground lights to this guy. But yeah, stock speaker, I did put an ESU decoder in it. I think I'm going to get a scale sound system speaker for it too. Might as well go all in on this one. Turned out quite well. So challenges with the paint on this one. It's probably one of 4 that CP has. And there's a few photos of how this thing's looking today, and it's starting to show its age. The thing on this one that is most interesting I found was the burning of the paint near the exhaust. So this is kind of orange. It's gone orange from the CP Action Red, or the CP Red. I don't know if it's Action Red. So this was one of the, on both sides there's a bit of orange that you'll notice when I flip the thing around. The other thing that's happened to this guy is the cab roof has kind of gone pink. So I do have a series of videos where I airbrush this thing, and I recorded the whole process. So if anybody's interested, I'll do a video just on that. But I'm just discussing what I did with this thing now. So obviously a lot of airbrushing. The only things I added, if you can see it, there's a little bit of a blue pipe right here. I'll just bend them up a bit so you can see it. Just kind of some extra plumbing that I noticed in one of the photographs. So I put it on there. I thought it was kind of unique and added that on. Changed the couplers to KDs. I don't think I did anything else. It's a Genesis engine, so it kind of comes complete. Don't really have to do anything, which is nice because most of my engines I have to do a ton to. So this one was purely just paintbrush and airbrush. And yeah, so I did have to fade the body, basically going anywhere between the orange tone up here where the burns were. Over here there's a bit of orange on the doors as well. And then the pink again on the front. The actual cab, the sides of the cab and the roof of the cab were a bit pink. The roof more pink than the sides. Did all the grills, darkened all the grills. That was a 2-step process with brush and airbrush. The tank, I think I'm still going to do some work on the tank. The prototype photographs, there's some really interesting staining on both ends of the tank on both sides. Starts with a bit of a really light halo and then some really hard diesel staining, which, you know, I should actually do that. I haven't done it yet, but I will. The trucks were quite interesting too. Lots of detail on the trucks to pick out. And the roof, interesting peeling paint on the winterization hatch. And then photographs were really hard to come by for this specific engine, so I ended up using 6262 for the most part. The back was pretty clean. The front leading edge of the winterization hatch is absolutely black, just covered. And then it kind of fades off to the rear there. I guess it deflects upward and doesn't get onto the back. So yeah, all in all, I'm pretty pleased with how this one turned out. Yeah, it's going to be a nice new addition to my fleet. So I'm working on getting a few of these things done each month so I can have my fleet completely weathered. I've got quite a few more to go, actually. Anyway, I'll wrap it up for this one. Again, if anybody's interested in getting some work done, I've got a new email address in the description of my YouTube site there. Just look in the description. There's an email address in there. You can email me. Okay, move on to the next one. Okay, last but not least, this is my Atlas GP38-2, which actually started out as GP40. So yeah, there is not much I didn't do to this thing. It's pretty much completely changed over. So I'll just give you an idea of what I started with. So I've got a couple of these guys. This is a Atlas GP40. So a lot of Canon detail parts added and a lot of different things done, like moving the headlight down to the lower, onto the nose from above. You know, there's a whole host of things I did to this engine. So with this in mind, this is the starting point, and then this is where it ended up. So I guess I'll start at the front here. Well, I'll give you a once around, and then I'll start at the front as to all the things I did. So this one, if you guys anybody who's been watching the channel has known that I've had this thing in the works for a number of months now, and I finally just kind of bit the bullet and got it done. Okay, so I got custom plow on here. So if you look down here, There's little bits of extra metal added onto the plow on the bottom and on the wings as well. Both wings are custom added. The ditch lights are custom. Well, they're I think they're miniatures by Eric. I don't even know if you can get them anymore, but these are the Canadian style ditch lights with the rings here at the bottom. I obviously moved the light down from the top, and that's another, I think it's a Details West part. So that got changed. And then up top here on the cab where the number boards are. So we've got an E-bell here, and then we've got a beacon that's added. Those beacons do work. And a GPS antenna. That's custom. I made that one myself. Let's see if I can move him over. He's looking a bit crooked. And then this guy's a Mac Rail part. And then I think anybody who's watched videos from last week saw me making these guys, the whip antennas, made out of toothbrush bristle, so you can kind of whack them as much as you want and they don't break or bend. Sinclair antenna is actually from Kato. And then what I spent an hour last night doing was this piping running back to the bell. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to do this, but there are 7 lift rings added onto this wire here, and you kind of got to line them up one by one and then glue them down. It is the most tedious, nightmarish thing you can ever do in your life. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but this guy had the piping because they relocated the bell. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I made these. These are the old marker light housings. I couldn't find them anywhere. Etched metal parts, whatever. Send me a note if you guys know of a place to get them, because I want to do another one of these engines. I ended up making these ones by drilling holes in aluminum and then cutting out the shape, and then this is just kind of like marker and glue and paint as far as the lenses go. They're not being used anymore on this engine, obviously, but it was a detail that I wanted to add, and it would be nice to actually just have it instead of manufacturing it. Be quite nice. Going to just behind the cab here, those snow shields are custom made. They're just basically another piece of my sheet aluminum that I use, as was this thing here. And then I did use styrene for the triangular edges, and it's got some lift rings applied to it as well. And then the riveting was done with, I think it's like a sewing tool. It's like a pinwheel with spikes on it. And I think it's used for seamstresses to mark out where they're going to stitch or something like that. I don't know. But I ended up using it just to do rivets. So it was quite helpful for that. The hatch is a Canon part. Obviously I had to skin off the other one, the GP40 hatch, and put on this GP38-2 hatch. So that's the first bit of work there on the body, on the long hood. Let me zoom back out here. Oh yeah, the other part, this is another Canon part here. This what is this called? The filter hatch, I think, or filter box. That's a GP38-2 part as well. Customized the air cylinder here on the Atlas model. It's a single cylinder. I just cut it in half and rounded the ends. And those placards there are more sheet aluminum, just painted with a bit of yellow and light green, just to get that chartreuse look. I believe there is a notification on each one of those. The photos I have are not that clear, so I may just weather those up and dirty them up and not put a decal on them. If I do put a decal on there, it won't really matter what it says because no one's going to read it anyway. So yeah, I think it's just a warning plate for the fueling the diesel, or something to do with the airlines there. What else did I do? Okay, the grills at the back. More Canon parts. So obviously there's 3 fans on a GP40, so one was removed, the hole was filled in, and then the grills on the side had to be shaved off. So this was a grill, shaved smooth, and then this is another Canon part for the GP38-2 parts. The bell, I think, is a models by Eric again, or sorry, the horn. And then I just manufactured these little guys here, the lift rings. There's 6 of them on the long hood. Those are, again, sheet aluminum, just drilled out a hole and cut out the shape and put those on. Onto the back. What do we do on here? The back just got the beacon and the marker lights and the rear ditch lights. So all these things work. The number boards light up, the rear headlight works, and the beacon works, and the ditch lights work. This guy's also got ground lights. I probably should show you guys how I do ground lights. At least on these Atlas ones, I've got it down to a science, and they look beautiful now. Just the way they shed light on the track, and they're not too obtrusive, but they show nicely. So maybe I'll do a video on that in future. More along this side, I had to put in the little window here. So that's just drilling very carefully through the body and making it an oval shape using a file and some sandpaper. And then I make the window using canopy glue. So I put a piece of tape as a backer, put the long hood on its side, and then drop in some canopy glue and let it harden up. And it forms a beautiful window. So that's how I do my windows on those. What else have I done? So again, another another snow shield on this side. And I think you know from the last week's video, these are Atlas parts here, the actual brackets for the antennas. Oh yeah, and again, you might have, if you watch my videos, these little wires under here representing the sanding lines, they came from resistors. I clip them off the resistors and bend them around probably a Sharpie, actually is probably a good diameter, and then I just glue them onto the side frame and paint them black. And you can, once they're glued on with CA, you can adjust that wire really nicely. It's quite flexible, which is why I use it. Anyway, I think that's about it. So yeah, other than the paint job, that was what I was afraid to. This is why it's taken so long to get this one done, is I was afraid to do the paint job. But I ended up doing it, and it was a challenge, because on this side, for example, the stripes were actually reversed. The white was the black and the black was the white, so I even had to like repaint the whole side. You think you're starting with a CN engine and you're not. You got to start from scratch. And then it had the CN logo kind of burning through there from a previous paint job, so I had to do that too. This was a tough one. All in all, this is probably the most work I've ever spent on an engine. Time anyway. And then, you know, it was a challenge because there's lots of stuff I hadn't done before. But it runs beautifully and it sounds amazing. It's got a scale sound speaker and it's got Lock Sound 5 in it. So yeah, it's a good runner. This one's probably going to be paired up with my GTW, and I've got my other wide cab up there to be paired with the BNSF engine that I have, 2098, and they all run beautifully together. So yeah, this is I guess I'll wrap that up now. If anybody's interested, please let me know. I do have all these engines captured as far as airbrushing goes. So if anybody wants to see that, please let me know and I'll put another video together showing you how I airbrush these things. Anyway, take care. Thanks for watching. And all the recent subscribers, I just passed 1,500. Fantastic. Appreciate all your support.